Hello and welcome. Tonight, House of Representatives calls for the immediate suspension of the proposed hike in telecoms tariff as lawmakers raise concern over poor service delivery by telecom operators. Senate to receive the report on the 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budget estimate this week ahead of the possible passage of the appropriation bill. President Bola Tinubu directs all ministers to present their scorecards to Nigerians. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledges relentless action to return hostages being held in Gaza after Hamas said it will delay their release until further notice. The House of Representatives is calling for the immediate suspension of the proposed hike in telecoms tariff. The House is also concerned about the poor service delivery from telecoms operators and calls for improved services before the increase can happen. In the meantime, a bill for an act to make provisions for a regulatory body for organ harvesting, transplant and donations has scaled second reading in the House. Our National Assembly correspondent Terry Kumi reports.
The first plenary session of the week in the Green Chamber witnesses a defection by Honorable Amos Magaji from Kaduna State, from the main opposition PDP to the ruling APC.
Dr. Amos Gomna Magaji has emphatically declared that he will be joining, or he has already joined, the All Progressive Congress Party.
His defection is well received by the APC but contested by the opposition, in line with what has become a tradition with parliamentary defections.
Congrats.
As the House settles down for the business of the day, a motion of urgent national importance is raised, calling for suspension of the proposed hike in telecoms tariff.
It is imperative that the telecommunication company improve on their service delivery, poor network, which Nigeria have been yearning for in years before embarking on the increase in tariff.
A brief debate for and against the motion ensues, and it is eventually adopted.
The last increase was done over a decade, over 10 years. And for somebody like I did say, coming from private sector, how do we expect them to increase their performance? Knowing that the prices of virtually all the various indices have increased.
We are not saying tariff should not be brought in, but not now. Let the telecom industry tell our people, let them show to us that what the people should be paying for is being given to them.
The House then considers a bill seeking to regulate organ transplant and donations. The bill scales second reading. Meanwhile, the newly established North Central Development Commission has continued to receive reactions.
We have other linking routes, from Kogi to Kwara to Niger. Once all these are put together, it will boost the economy of this region. It will increase the revenue of the region and even the nation Nigeria. And of course, looking at agriculture, because North Central region is known for agriculture.
A development commission has now been established in every region of the country, with the hope that regionalized development can truly occur as is expected in a democratic setting. Terry Ikumi, Channels Television News.
Staying with the National Assembly, the President of the Senate, Godswill Akpabio, has affirmed that the upper legislative chamber will receive the report on the 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budget estimate this week for possible passage. Senator Akpabio made the disclosure while addressing lawmakers after a debate on a bill seeking to establish a Federal University of Agriculture in Abak, Akwa Ibom State. He emphasized the urgency of finalizing work on the 2025 budget, noting that some senators were absent from the chamber to put the finishing touches on the appropriation bill. Our National Assembly correspondent, Gloria Mezoke, now reports.
The President of the Senate leads other senators for the first plenary of the week. During the session, the Senate President took note of the unusually light agenda in his remarks.
Let me plead with our colleagues so that we cut it short, and then we still have ongoing budget defense, And that's why some of the senators are not here. Senator Suko and a lot of them are there now. So we may need to finish quickly to go and brush up the budget for possible presentation tomorrow and next.
Elsewhere, the lawmakers continued major conversations at the committee level following a recent threat to issue a warrant of arrest to the Inspector General of Police. He appears before the Senate Committee on Public Accounts.
It was not deliberate. The truth is that all the days that you have given to me to appear had clashed with other important security engagements in the Office of the Inspector General of Police.
He asked to be excused while the Assistant Inspector General of Police takes over. The committee had 8 audit queries against the police, including a case of 1.1 billion naira contract splitting.
3,907 assaulted rifles and pistols across different police formations that could not be accounted for as of January 2020.
Before his response, some senators began to advocate for a closed-door session, but that request was shut down.
The issue of firepower of any organization is secret and goes separately to our chest.
Nothing should be treated secretly under my watch. Please, AIG, tell us what happened to these firearms. 3,907 firearms, mainly AK-47.
What is worrisome is that this money used to procure arms for the purpose of protecting Nigeria by trained Nigeria police force is now lost. You have an obligation not only to disclose but to apprehend, parade, and name such persons. This country must operate under the same level of rule of law.
Having met resistance from the lawmakers, the police responds overtly.
The fact that for 30 days this arm consistently has not been recorded, has been returned, book has been returned, it is deemed to have been lost.
The lawmakers are clearly dissatisfied as they detect more loopholes and grey areas.
I'm not a policeman, but common sense tells me
Give me as an example
that you are wrong. You can't take that.
We are not going to hide anything, and I assure you that the force has done a lot, and they will not allow any of our arms to get missing.
We expect the Office of Inspector General of Police to appear before us again on Monday by 12 noon with vivid, comprehensive explanation as to these missing firearms.
Elsewhere in another committee, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, appeared before the Senate Committee on Capital Market.
There are 5 million people that invest in the stock market, in the stock exchange and the securities markets. It may not be enough, but it's a reasonable quantum.
The Senate Committee concludes by requesting the approval of 10 billion naira as special fund for literacy development in the capital market. From the National Assembly, Gloria Umezuke, Channels Television News.
Talking party politics now, the leadership of the People's Democratic Party Abia State Chapter has suspended the chairman of the party's Board of Trustees and former Senate President Adolphus Wabara for 1 month over alleged anti-party activities. The decision was taken today at a meeting of members of the State Working Committee and State Executive Committee presided over by the State Chairman of the party, Elder Abraham Ama, at the party secretariat in Umuahia. Reading out the statement on the outcome of the meeting, Elder Ama also announced that in the interim, Senator Wabara has ceased to be the Chairman Board of Trustees of the PDP, adding that the decision has been communicated to the National Working Committee of the party. The statement noted that in October of 2023, Senator Wabara, through his speech in a function, publicly endorsed the current governor of Abia State, Alex Oti, for a second tenure in office.
In line with the provisions of the PDP Constitution 2017 as amended, and after careful deliberations, the State Working Committee, SWC, and the State Executive Committee, SEC, have unanimously resolved to suspend Senator Adolphus Wabara from the party. Reasons for the suspension: 1. Breach of party loyalty. In October 2023, Senator Adolphus Wabara publicly endorsed the governor of Abia State, Dr. Alex Oti of the Labour Party, for a second term in office barely 5 months after his inauguration. These endorsements, widely circulated in national dailies and on social media, constitutes a flagrant act of sabotage against the People's Democratic Party.
Meanwhile, the National Working Committee of the People's Democratic Party has dismissed the purported suspension of the chairman of the Board of Trustees, Senator Adolphus Wabara, describing it as illegal. The party, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Debo Olugunagba, faulted the suspension, stating that it violated the PDP constitution as amended in 2017 and does not follow due process. The PDP described the action as reckless and unconstitutional, warning those responsible to retrace their steps or face disciplinary measures. As part of efforts to reposition the All Progressives Congress, the APC, the party has received 4 members of the House of Representatives who defected from the Labour Party. Addressing journalists in Abuja after a meeting of the National Working Committee of the party and some members of the Progressive Governors Forum, Chairman of the forum, Mr. Hope Uzodimma, says the giant strides of President Bola Tinubu is attracting members of the opposition into the All Progressives Congress.
I took advantage of the opportunity presented by that meeting to also receive 4 members of the House of Representatives from Enugu State, from Labour Party to APC. And as I speak, another 9 members of House of Assembly, Enugu State, is also being received by the Minister of Science and Technology in his place. So it goes to show that Nigeria gradually and incrementally are beginning to see the dividends of all the policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our president, and the benefits of the reforms are gradually manifesting. I think Nigeria have confidence in our party, despite all the distractions here and there.
At a separate event held at the national headquarters of the APC to kickstart electronic registration of members of the party, Mr. Uzodimma says the party is not afraid of the gathering of opposition members under any guise.
We are not afraid of the opposition, what they will say. Our business is to organize our party, to be respected all over the world, organize our party to be strong. And of course, we're expecting elections. APC is not a party that is built on a platform that thinks that there will be no contest. There is no democracy anywhere in the world without a contest. We are expecting the contest, but Nigerians will decide.
Welcome back. If you have just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. House of Representatives calls for the immediate suspension of the proposed hike in telecoms tariff as lawmakers raise concern over poor service delivery by telecoms operators. Senate to receive the report on the 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budget estimates this week ahead of the possible passage of the appropriation bill. President Bola Tinubu directs all ministers to present their scorecards to Nigerians. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pledges relentless action to return hostages being held in Gaza after Hamas said it would delay their release until further notice. To electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is seeking the collaboration of security agencies to stop vote buying during party primaries and even general elections. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu made the call during the first regular meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security in Abuja. He also called for intensified fight against electoral corruption during the party primaries.
Thank you. Please take your seat. This is the first quarterly meeting of the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security for the year.
On behalf of the independent...
Top on the agenda is the presentation of the success recorded during the governorship election in Ondo State and the plans for the forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State, as well as by-elections.
Our experience in the management of logistics during the last Ondo State governorship election provides the template for future elections. Better coordination in the deployment of security and electoral officials contributed to the early commencement of polls and the peaceful conduct of the election, in spite of the challenging terrain, especially in the riverine areas. The forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State must be similarly well coordinated.
The Commission is reaffirming its commitment to electoral integrity ahead of the elections, including the Area Council election in the Federal Capital Territory, and seeks the collaboration of security agencies to tackle vote buying from the nation's electoral system.
For the Anambra election, processes will be held in 5,720 polling units, while results will be collated at 326 ward centers, 21 local government areas, and the State Collection Center in Oka. In the case of the FCT, elections will be held for 68 constituencies, made up of 6 area council chairmen and 62 councillors.
The representative of the National Security Advisor also presented a review of the security during previous elections.
The NSC has assured that the lessons learned from the isolated incidents recorded during the last elections in Edo and Ondo will be vital in refining security strategies ahead of the forthcoming by-elections in some parts of the country, including the governorship election in Anambra State, scheduled for November 25th, later this year.
The meeting agreed that the lessons drawn from the incidents recorded during the Edo and Ondo governorship elections will be instrumental in refining security strategies for upcoming elections.
President Bola Tinubu has ordered all ministers to present their scorecards to Nigerians. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mr. Mohammed Idris, made the announcement for the first edition of the 2025 Presidential Ministerial Briefing Series in Abuja. According to him, the briefing, which is scheduled to commence next week, is an opportunity for the ministers to highlight and explain government policies and programs to the people. Our correspondent, Victoria Longjohn, reports.
This is the first in a series of media engagements by the Minister of Information and National Orientation for 2025. The briefing series, launched last year, is a platform for the ministers to present their scorecards in line with the mandate of President Tinubu to effectively communicate with Nigerians, particularly as the present administration marks its second year in office.
You recall last year,
the Information Minister begins the briefing by reeling out some of the fiscal and macroeconomic reforms of the administration in the past 19 months.
Oil and gas reforms in 2024 made Nigeria the most attractive destination for oil and gas investments in Africa, as well as attracting over $5 billion in signed investment commitments. In July 2024, the Supreme Court issued a landmark ruling empowering local governments with a level of financial autonomy hitherto unseen in the history of our country. Just last week, the Federal Executive Council, FEC, approved a significant sum of $1.07 billion in low-cost financing for Nigeria from the World Bank. A backlog of over 200,000 international passports were cleared. The backlog was cleared within a 3-week period in 2024. Our security forces neutralized more than 8,000 terrorists and bandits and arrested over 11,600 others, with more than 10,000 weapons recovered. The price of grain has dropped significantly across the country. This year, we are kickstarting another edition of the ministerial press briefing that usually occurs at the National Press Center within the premises of the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, to also intimate you with the fact that the ministerial press briefing, as directed by Mr. President, is commencing next week.
Speaking on more gains of the administration, the minister addressed the speculation surrounding the student loan fund.
The students' loan scheme started. The federal government already made a provision for 500,000. Now, to date, those who have benefited are still less than 200,000. So you can see that there is still a long headroom. Admissions are streamlined. That is why over 300,000 of them applied. And of course, there is nothing that goes without regulation. Those who have qualified, and it's a very simple and straightforward scheme. If you qualify, I can tell you, today, any child, any youngster that has met requirements for that would automatically be given.
Over the next 3 months, as the administration of President Bola Tinubu approaches its second year, ministers are to use this media engagement series to brief Nigerians weekly. From Abuja, Victoria Longjohn, Channels Television News.
Nigeria has been ranked in the 140th position out of 180 countries in the world on the 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index, according to a report by Transparency International. Transparency's latest ranking released today sees Nigeria move up 5 spots when compared with 2023's report and 10 spots as against its report of 2022. Denmark emerged as the least corrupt country with 90 points, with fellow Nordic country Finland coming in second with 88 points and Singapore in third with 84 points. However, countries that made the most corrupt list in the world were South Sudan, Somalia and Venezuela. No African country made the top 10 as it was dominated by European countries. The Executive Director of a Civil Society Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, Owal Rafsanjani, says Nigeria's 140th position in the Transparency International 2024 Corruption Perceptions Index is not a significant improvement. Speaking on our political program, Politics Today, Mr. Rafsanjani explains that it's good to appreciate the collective effort that has been put in place by the country, but everyone needs to be determined to fight corruption.
We believe there are a number of reasons that even help us to reach this report. The number of prosecution that has happened in the country, the number of recovery that have also happened in the country, and the resilience of the civil society to insist that we must do the right things. These are some of the pointers that actually give us this opportunity to even rise up. But I think also the determination by the various anti-corruption agencies to continue to do this work even at the expense of their life. And they continue to see how they can contribute towards eradication, the menace of corruption, because corruption has seriously devastated, and led to underdevelopment in the country. And you could see that from the the higher institutions to the hospitals or healthcare system to even electricity, and yet Nigerians are in darkness. Do you know how much Nigerians have spent in the name of water project in this country? Do you know how much, fake interventions we have done in various sectors, including areas where you have privatized those entities? You are still injecting billions and trillions in the name of intervention. Whose interest is in that?
So let's now head to the nation's capital, and Victoria Longjohn is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Over to you, Victoria.
Many thanks, Ayo. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has set up a committee to check the influx of almajiri in the metropolis. The FCT Police Commissioner, Mr. Olatunji Diso, made this known after the FCT security meeting chaired by the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike. Mr. Disu explains that the idea is to ensure security agencies are abreast with details of Almajiri, especially their activities. Though he dismissed reports of security threats in the nation's capital, Mr. Disu appealed to residents to be security conscious and report any suspicious activity to the relevant authorities. The committee, which comprises the Nigeria Police, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, the Department of State Service, amongst others, have been asked to submit their report within 2 weeks. And one of Nigeria's business development firms, Aquarian Consult, is set to host the Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit. The summit coordinator, Health Center Banu Oju, made this known during a press conference at the firm's headquarters in Abuja. She explains that the summit will pave the way for Nigeria to shape the future of Africa-Caribbean trade.
It's a serene atmosphere as officials of the Aquarian Consult team gather to announce the forthcoming Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit slated for March 25, 2025 in partnership with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. The summit's theme is Bridging Continents, with the sub-theme Africa and the Caribbean, a partnership for prosperity. Abuja will be hosting this first of its kind of engagement.
Aquarian Consult Limited ACL, in partnership with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, proudly announces the inaugural Aquarian Consult Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit AACIS 25. A landmark event designed to forge high-impact investment alliances between Africa and the Caribbean, scheduled to take place from March 25th to March 28th, 2025.
Aquarian Consult boasts of 16-year record in project management and capacity building, and the management is optimistic that the experience of consistently facilitating similar strategic partnerships will engender the right environment for investment opportunities.
Aquarian Consult has consistently facilitated strategic partnerships that drive industry growth, enhance business performance, and support sustainable development in a changing global economy. The Aquarian Consult Afri-Caribbean Investment Summit 2025 is a strategic initiative aimed at deepening economic integration, enhancing cross-border investment, and fostering sustainable business collaborations.
Caribbean and Africa and Nigeria. So the idea is to bring, both policymakers from the St. Kitts and Nigeria in the same room, and they can have a discourse on how to facilitate ease of doing business and investment.
The summit will feature insightful keynote address and sector-focused breakout discussions tailored to industries such as agriculture, manufacturing, among others.
Now, still ahead on the news at 10, Nigeria Customs Service suspends implementation of 4% free on-board charge. That's some business news to join us again.
Welcome to Odibet, the ultimate destination for sports betting and thrilling casino games.
It's time to level up your game. Odibet. Bet smart, win big, play with confidence. Unbeatable odds, non-stop action, fast payouts. And it's all safe, secure, and just a click away. What do you bet? Bet smart, win big, play with confidence. What do you bet?
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. Over now to the southeast state of Enugu, where Governor Peter Mba is intent on partnering with the European Union in the areas of power, renewable energy, education and security. Governor Mba reeled out his plans when he received the EU delegation to Nigeria and ECOWAS, led by the head of cooperation, Mr. Massimo De Luca, to discuss projects funded by the EU in partnership with the state government. Mr. De Luca, on the flip side, notes that the EU is working on providing power in all primary healthcare centers as well as the local communities across the state through solar energy, with the aim of making the primary healthcare centers more efficient and sustainable.
as Enugu has emerged as key interlocutor and partner in a number of areas, but particularly around the power sector. We are developing a number of innovative initiatives in addition to what was done in the past around mini-grids, but now we are looking at innovative schemes and initiatives around solar to health, small hydro, and innovative arrangements with the Enugu distribution company to supply big consumers, to ensure 24-hour supply to especially industrial consumers, which is really something very exciting that we have launched recently in Kaduna, and we are trying to duplicate here in Enugu.
We're also interested in solar for education, for example, because our 260 smart green schools, we hope to power them through renewable energy. And so we want to work with the EU in these areas where we basically need to drive down development. We see the benefit for the state going into the future if we're able to make sure that our children have access to quality education.
And that's it from the nation's capital. It's now back to Ayo for the rest of the news at 10.
Thank you so much, Victoria. A private tertiary institution, Amadeus University in Amizi, Abia State, has celebrated its inaugural matriculation ceremony and official opening, marking a significant milestone in its commitment to delivering high-quality education to students from various backgrounds. During the event, Dr. Godwin Mwambuka, chairman of the institution's Board of Trustees, highlighted that Amadeus University is a testament to vision, dedication, and unwavering faith.
The Son, and the Holy Spirit.
It's the official opening and inaugural matriculation ceremony of a private citadel of higher learning, Amadeus University, located in Amizi, Ikuanu local government area of Abia State.
A site of planting of the memorial tree.
The planting of a memorial tree and academic procession signals the beginning of the ceremony at the University Hall, opening doors to students seeking global competitive and world-class education. Speaking during the ceremony, the founder and chairman of the Board of Trustees of Amadeus University, Dr. Godwin Mwambuka, says the university was envisioned to do more than teach, but was founded as a crucible to empower, inspire, and shape the next generation of African leaders.
Our mission is clear: to produce graduates who are academically excellent, morally grounded, and globally competent. Our ambition is to harness the richness of this land, from the strength of our community to its abundant natural resources, and use this in creating a catalyst for wider development, not just for our communities, but for other states, for Nigeria and the world at large.
On his part, the Abia State Governor, Dr. Alex Oti, represented by the State Commissioner for Tertiary Education, Professor Uche Eme Uche, says Amadeus University demonstrates the critical role private individuals play to complement government efforts in delivering quality education.
Your conduct, both within and outside the university, will define the image of Amadeus University in years to come. To the management and faculty, I commend your hard work in bringing this institution to life.
Senate President Godswill Akpabio, represented by Senator Augustine Akubundu, and the institution's Vice Chancellor, Professor Samuel Nzota, had this to say about Amadeus University.
Let this be our charge. Let us go forth from this place with unrelenting resolve. Let us build, let us educate, let us transform.
To acquire relevant skills and knowledge available in the university, which shall position them to be visionary and development-oriented leaders in their areas of specialization.
One of the matriculating students captures his feelings this way.
My experience here has just been a story worth telling. I'm so happy to be here, and I advise every student out there who should have registered for JAMB or who would register for JAMB to always make sure you consider Amadeus.
The official opening and inaugural matriculation ceremony of regular undergraduate students marks the formal commencement of Amadeus University's mission to provide high-quality education to students from diverse backgrounds.
And in transportation, the Nigerian Railway Corporation and APM Terminals, Apapa, have officially relaunched the Apapa-Ibadan standard gauge rail service for container transportation, marking a major milestone in Nigeria's logistics sector. The new service operates between the Lagos Port Complex in Apapa and the NRC Freight Yard in Monia, Ibadan, Oyo State, offering a more efficient, cost-effective and environmentally friendly alternative to road transportation. Our correspondent Darido reports.
APM Terminals, a global leader in container shipping and ports, in partnership with other stakeholders, have officially relaunched the Apapa-Ibadan standard gauge rail service for container transportation. The Chief Commercial Officer of the APM Terminals Nigeria says the revamped service is coming with simplified processes.
With our revamped service, you can now make informed decisions and reliable plans, thanks to our fixed schedule. The train leaves the port 3 times a week, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
There are other stakeholders in the room, and for them, this initiative is a welcome development.
For APMT to take this step in this direction, working in partnership with Nigerian Railway Corporation to further enhance this portion of the rail transport to move cargo from Lagos to Ibadan is something that is worth celebrating.
From a customer point of view, we have been expecting this for a while, and we will support this. We are working hand in hand with APMT, the NRC, as well, to ensure that this project is super successful.
The managing director of the Nigerian Railway Corporation says more than 300,000 tons of containerized cargo were moved in 2024 across both standard and narrow gauge lines. It says the expanded service will reduce cost of logistics, improve living standards, and address multidimensional poverty.
APMT is one of our biggest customers when it comes to freight movement. And with what we are doing today, we see a situation where we are going to move that freight capacity by another 80% just with AP Molano. And this cannot be possible without the support of the Chiefs Council. And it will not be sustainable without support from customs. And for MPA, it's a milestone because the port is meant to be multidimensional, intermodality, and multimodality. Both are going to achieve by this singular effort. So we commend AP Mola.
Invited guests are led to the APM terminal yard for the official launch of the service, with shipment right on track.
It's really a game changer. As we know, the challenges we faced in this corridor in terms of evacuation of cargo to the hinterlands to our customers has always been the road network. It's congested. Despite all our best efforts by all stakeholders in this corridor, is just due to the limited infrastructure on the roads. We still encounter congestion, as you will notice in this corridor. So what this does for us is it opens another frontier for our customers and stakeholders to evacuate their cargo.
The newly launched service will operate on a fixed schedule, and each trip will transport up to 35 wagons carrying either 35 40-foot container or 70 20-foot containers. Gary Idowu, Channels Television News.
For the very latest in the world of business, Joker Rogers is up next. Joker.
Thank you, Ayo. Today, welcome to Business News. The Nigeria Customs Service has suspended the implementation of the 4% free on board charge on import as stipulated in the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023. This decision follows consultations with the Minister of Finance, Mr. Olawale Edun, and other stakeholders. The suspension allows for further engagement on the implementation framework and aligns with the expiration of contracts with service providers. It also provides an opportunity to review the customs revenue framework. Meanwhile, the Central Bank of Nigeria has announced a major revision to its automated teller machine transaction fees, eliminating the 3 free monthly withdrawals for customers using other banks' ATMs effective March 1, 2025. The CBN says this change applies to all banks and financial institutions in the country. The new fee structure includes a 100 naira charge per 20,000 naira withdrawal on other banks' ATMs. Additional surcharges will apply for off-site ATMs. Customers will still enjoy free withdrawals from their own bank's ATM, but the previous 3 free withdrawals on other banks' ATMs are now discontinued. CBN explains that the revision is necessary due to rising costs and the need to improve ATM efficiency. Well, Nigeria is set to host the 2025 Afreximbank annual meetings. Nigeria will take center stage in Africa's economic growth and development as it officially signs an agreement to host the 2025 Afrexim annual meetings in Abuja in June this year. The signing ceremony took place at the Ministry of Finance with Mr. Wale Edun representing the government. The Afrexim Bank President, Professor Benedict Orama, commends Nigeria's role in advancing trade across Africa, noting that the event will focus on trade financing, cross-border payments and SME growth. On his part, the Minister of Finance describes it as a strategic platform to boost Africa's financial sector and Nigeria's economic transformation. Over 5,000 delegates are expected to attend the meetings. The domestic stock market records a strong rebound today as investors buy Dangote cement. Laddie Williams tells us more.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. Well, the second trading day of the week snapped the flat close from yesterday. That was about 4 basis points. And the bulls are out to play today, 0.66%. And the all-share index getting back to that 106,000 psychological level. Around the previous high of before. Let's look at the sectoral performance now. We've seen the banking counter recovered from the loss yesterday. It's up 0.44%. But these counters, they were up yesterday, but they're down now with consumer goods down 0.52%. Let's look at the tier 1 banks now. Most of them are up today. Just GTCO in the red, 0.24% down. But we've had the bigger move from UBA, 1.84% up, followed by FBNH, 0.93%. And today, it's 36 stocks gaining, led by Ella Lakes.
Well, that's it on Business News tonight. Back to you, Ayotunde.
Thank you so much, Joker. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has issued an ultimatum on the hostage release situation, promising a return to hostilities with Hamas if the hostages, that's Israeli hostages, are not released at the stipulated time. Here's Simon Pius with more on this and other international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pledged relentless action to return hostages being held in Gaza after Hamas said it would delay their release until further notice. It comes as US President Donald Trump says Israel should cancel the ceasefire and, in his words, let hell break out if Hamas does not release all remaining hostages by midday on Saturday. In response, a Hamas spokesman said the language of threats has no value. It's too early to say whether this carefully negotiated, staged process is about to collapse. But after a mostly positive start, the ceasefire is under increasing strain. In total, 17 Israeli hostages were still due to be released in the first phase of the ceasefire, 8 of whom Israel says are dead. Hundreds of Palestinian prisoners have been freed by Israel so far.
All of the hostages, all of them, not the ones that are supposed to come tomorrow or the next day, all of them now. This is where they belong. This is their home.
Obviously, with much anxiety, we've been very hooked by this deal. We are getting used to seeing our people getting back. Sometimes horrible conditions, but alive, and we're expecting for this deal to continue until its very end, and by the conditions fully. So we expect them to come back today, this Saturday.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump is facing fierce resistance from Jordan's King Abdullah at the White House in their first meeting since the US president proposed moving Gaza's population to Jordan. Jordan, a key US ally, has been treading a tightrope between its military and diplomatic ties and popular support for the Palestinians at home. Those fault lines, already tested by the Gaza war, are being pushed to breaking point by Trump's plans for Gaza's peace.
Think of it as a real estate development for the future.
He has expanded on his demand that Gazans be moved to Jordan and Egypt, telling a news program that they would not have the right to return home, a vision that, if enforced, would contravene international law. The US Justice Department has told federal prosecutors to drop their corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams. The order came from the acting Deputy Attorney General, appointed by Donald Trump, who said the indictment had restricted the mayor's ability to address illegal immigration and violent crime in the city. Adams, a Democrat, has recently built a closer relationship with Trump and has told law enforcement to cooperate with the president's immigration raids. The mayor is accused of accepting illegal campaign funds and gifts in exchange for his influence as mayor. He has pleaded not guilty to 5 charges. A teacher has fatally stabbed an 8-year-old girl at an elementary school in South Korea in an incident that has shocked the nation. Police said the female teacher, who is in her 40s, confessed to stabbing the student in the central city of Daejeon. The girl was found with stab wounds on the 2nd floor of a school building at 6 p.m. local time and was pronounced dead at the hospital. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir has sacked 2 of his vice presidents, the country's spy chief, and other senior officials. The dismissals were announced in a series of presidential decrees read on the state broadcaster. No reasons were given for the move. South Sudan has 5 vice presidents as part of a 2018 peace agreement to end a civil war, but the agreement has been fraught with problems. The president of the Central African Republic has launched a meme coin in a bid to raise the profile of the country, which is one of the world's poorest. Meme coins are used to build popularity for a viral internet trend or movement, and fans are inspired to collect and give them value, but they're extremely volatile investments. The president launched the meme coin known as CAR on his X account, calling it an experiment. But the value of the coin soon dropped by up to 90%. In 2022, the Central African Republic became the world's 2nd country after El Salvador to adopt the cryptocurrency Bitcoin as legal tender. And a unique drainage pipe at a reservoir in North Carolina has been activated for the first time in 6 years, creating a mesmerizing whirlpool which resembles a plug hole. Higher than normal waters have triggered the feature at the Monticello Dam in Napa County. It's the first time this release system, known as the Morning Glory Spillway, has been seen since February 2019.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. Welcome to Sports News. Head coach Aliu Zubairu has called 30 players as Nigeria's under-20 boys, the Flying Eagles, prepare for a 2-match tour of Egypt later this month in preparations for the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations holding in Cote d'Ivoire from April 26th to May 18th. The 7-time African champions will clash with their Egyptian counterpart in Cairo, capital of Egypt, in friendly matches on February 25 and 27. The list includes 3 goalkeepers, 9 defenders, 7 midfielders, and 11 strikers.
Back here, defending champions Edo Queens will face a stern test against an informed Nasarawa Amazon side in Group A of the Nigeria Women's Football League Premiership Match Day 5 fixture for Wednesday. Equity Queens, who have been solid at home, winning both their previous home games against Heartland Queens, and Dana's Ladies will play host to struggling Confluence Queens. Now, one of the standout teams this season, Remo Stars Ladies, will remain unbeaten after 4 games, will play host to Abia Angels in Ikene. The biggest fixture of match day 5 sees South rivals Rivers Angels and Bayelsa Queens battle for supremacy as both teams are undefeated. The Mawa Queens and Niger Rattles will be home against Benue Queens and Delta Queens. Well, let's talk the Champions League now. Ousmane Dembele kept up his remarkable form in front of goal with a double as Paris Saint-Germain took a big step towards qualifying for the last 16 of the Champions League with a 3-0 win over French rivals Brest in the first leg of their playoff tie just earlier this evening. In the other game, Erling Haaland had to net a brace as Manchester City were beaten 3-2 by Real Madrid at the Etihad Stadium. Kylian Mbappe and Brahim Diaz were on the score sheets for the reigning champions. Juventus also defeated PSV Eindhoven 2-1, while Borussia Dortmund beat Sporting Lisbon 3-0. And the Qatar Open does it for us here on Sports News. Thanks indeed for watching. I'm Kelly. Giga is back to you today.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The House of Representatives has called for the immediate suspension of the proposed hike in telecoms tariff, just as lawmakers raised concern over poor service delivery by telecoms operators. We also told you that the Senate today said it is ready to receive the report on the 54.2 trillion naira 2025 budget estimates this week, ahead of the possible passage of the appropriation bill. President Bola Tinubu has directed all ministers to present their scorecards to Nigerians. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, said this in Abuja during the first edition of the 2025 Presidential Ministerial Briefing. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pledged relentless action to return hostages being held in Gaza after Hamas said it would delay their release until further notice. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde. From everyone here, you have a good night.